мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
Putin called this a special military operation, but it's clear this is a full-scale invasion.
President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Wednesday that Ukrainian troops were still fighting for Bakhmut, but could pull out if they risked being cut off.
For me, the most important is not to lose our soldiers.
Hi there! Today we're going to analyze the real interest in the West to participate in the current conflict between Russia and Ukraine. These are some of the reasons why the West doesn't seem to care about Ukraine as much as some might think they should. Hello everyone! Welcome back to Edge Capitalism. In Edge Capitalism, we analyze how power and value is created in the world. If you like our content, share and subscribe to our channel. Are you ready? Let's get started. Ukraine's historical ties to Russia date back many centuries, and these ties have played a significant role in shaping the current geopolitical landscape of the region. In the 18th and 19th centuries, Ukraine was part of the Russian Empire, and after the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, Ukraine became part of the Soviet Union. During this time, Ukraine's language and culture were suppressed, and many Ukrainians were persecuted and killed by the Soviet government. In 1991, Ukraine declared independence from the Soviet Union, but its ties to Russia remained strong. Many Ukrainians still spoke Russian as their first language, and economic ties between Ukraine and Russia remained significant. Since then, Ukraine has had a complicated relationship with Russia, with periods of cooperation and conflict. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine, citing historical ties and a need to protect ethnic Russians in the region. This annexation was widely condemned by the international community, but some Western countries have been hesitant to take more forceful action against Russia due to concerns over the escalation and potential economic repercussions. In addition to the annexation of Crimea, Russia has also been accused of providing support to separatists in eastern Ukraine, which has resulted in an ongoing conflict that has claimed thousands of lives and displaced many more. Despite these conflicts, Ukraine's historical ties to Russia have made it difficult for some Western countries to fully support Ukraine. Some Western countries have been hesitant to take more forceful action against Russia due to concerns over provoking Russia or exacerbating tensions in the region. However, it is important to note that not all Western countries share this hesitancy, and many have provided diplomatic and economic support to Ukraine in the face of Russian aggression. The annexation of Crimea is considered by many a significant event that has contributed to the West's lack of concern towards Ukraine. The annexation refers to Russia's military intervention and subsequent annexation of the Crimean Peninsula, which was part of Ukraine in March 2014. The annexation followed a period of political unrest and protests in Ukraine, which led to the removal of President Yanukovych, who was considered pro-Russian. Following Yanukovych's ouster, pro-Russian separatists in Crimea took control of the region, and Russia deployed troops there under the guise of protecting ethnic Russians in the area. It was widely condemned by the international community, with the United Nations General Assembly passing a resolution in March 2014 that declared the annexation invalid. The European Union and the United States imposed economic sanctions on Russia in response to the annexation. But some Western countries have been hesitant to take more forceful action against Russia due to concerns over the escalation and potential economic repercussions. The annexation of Crimea has had a significant impact on Ukraine, with the country losing control of a strategically important region that is home to its Black Sea Fleet. The annexation has also exacerbated tensions between Ukraine and Russia, and has contributed to an ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine, where pro-Russian separatists have taken control of several areas. The annexation has been widely viewed as a violation of international law, and it has been condemned by many Western countries as well as the United Nations. However, some Western countries have been hesitant to take more forceful action against Russia due to concerns over provoking Russia or exacerbating tensions in the region. The ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine has contributed to the West's perceived lack of concern towards Ukraine. The conflict began in April 2014, shortly after Russia's annexation of Crimea, when pro-Russian separatists seized control of several areas in eastern Ukraine, including the Donbass region. The conflict has resulted in thousands of deaths and the displacement of many more, and it continues to this day. Ukraine, Russia, and the separatists have engaged in several rounds of peace talks, but a lasting ceasefire has yet to be agreed upon. The conflict in eastern Ukraine has been fueled by a variety of factors, including political, economic, and cultural differences between the eastern and western regions of Ukraine. Pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine have claimed that they are fighting for their rights and for greater autonomy from the central government in Kyiv. Ukraine, on the other hand, has accused Russia of providing support to the separatists, including weapons, training, and funding. It has had a significant impact on Ukraine, with the country facing a humanitarian crisis due to the displacement of people and the destruction of infrastructure. The conflict has also strained Ukraine's economy and has made it difficult for the country to attract foreign investment. Despite the severity of the conflict, the West's response has been limited, with some Western countries providing military aid and economic assistance to Ukraine, while others have been more cautious in their support. The conflict in eastern Ukraine is a complex issue, and the lack of a clear solution has made it difficult for the West to take decisive action. Ukraine has experienced political instability and corruption for many years, which has made it difficult for some Western countries to fully trust and support the country. Since gaining independence from the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine has had a series of leaders who have been accused of corruption and abuse of power. One of the most notable examples is former President Viktor Yanukovych, who was removed from office in 2014 following widespread protests over his decision to back out of a deal with the European Union in favor of closer ties with Russia. The political instability in Ukraine has made it difficult for the country to establish strong democratic institutions and tackle corruption effectively. The lack of progress on these fronts has made it harder for some Western countries to provide financial and military support to Ukraine, as they are concerned about the effectiveness of their aid. Ukraine has struggled economically for many years, which has made it difficult for some Western countries to provide financial assistance without clear guarantees that the money will be used effectively. Ukraine's economy has faced a number of challenges over the years, including high inflation, a large national debt, and a reliance on exports of natural resources. In recent years, the country has also been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has led to a decline in economic activity and a sharp increase in unemployment. Ukraine's strategic importance to the West is relatively limited compared to the other regions, which may make it harder for some Western countries to justify investing significant resources in the country. Unlike other regions such as the Middle East or Asia, Ukraine does not have significant resources and reserves of oil or other strategic resources. In addition, Ukraine's location on the periphery of Europe means that it is less central to global trade routes and less likely to be a major hub for international commerce. In addition, Ukraine's location also makes it strategically important as a buffer zone between Russia and Western Europe. The conflict in Ukraine has raised concerns about Russian aggression and expansionism, and some Western countries may view support for Ukraine as a way to counter these concerns.
Is the European Union on the verge of splitting? Is Europe slowly becoming divided over the Ukraine war? Are fissures beginning to emerge within the NATO?
Some Western countries have been hesitant to support Ukraine's bid to join NATO due to concerns over provoking Russia or exacerbating tensions in the region. NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is a political and military alliance of 30 countries, primarily in Europe and North America. Membership in NATO is seen as a significant indicator of a country's security and stability, and many countries have sought to join the alliance in order to bolster their own security. Ukraine has expressed interest in joining NATO, but its bid has been met with resistance from some Western countries. Some countries, such as the United States and Poland, have been more supportive of Ukraine's bid to join NATO, while others, such as Germany and France, have been more cautious. The main concern among those who are hesitant to support Ukraine's bid to join NATO is the potential for escalation of tensions with Russia. Russia has traditionally viewed NATO expansion as a threat to its own security, and it has expressed opposition to Ukraine's bid to join the alliance. Finally, the situation in Ukraine can be seen as a proxy conflict between Russia and the West. The truth of the matter is that the conflict began in 2014 when Ukraine's pro-Russian president was ousted, and Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine. Since then, fighting has continued in the eastern Donbass region, with Russia accused of supporting separatist rebels. From a geopolitical perspective, Ukraine is strategically located between Russia and the rest of Europe, and its control can provide significant advantages to either sides. The country has historically been within Russia's sphere of influence, and Russia sees Ukraine's pivot towards the West as a direct threat to its national security interests. For Russia, Ukraine is seen as a buffer zone that provides a sense of security from potential aggression from the West. By supporting separatists in eastern Ukraine, Russia can destabilize Ukraine's government and undermine its relations with the West. This can weaken Ukraine's geopolitical position and make it more vulnerable to Russian influence. On the other hand, the West sees Ukraine as an opportunity to expand its influence in Eastern Europe and counter Russia's influence in the region. By supporting Ukraine's government and providing military and economic aid, the West can strengthen Ukraine's geopolitical position and weaken Russia's influence in the region. In summary, the conflict in Ukraine is a proxy battle between Russia and the West, with Ukraine's geopolitical position and strategic importance at the center. Russia's actions in Ukraine can be seen as an attempt to debilitate and weaken Ukraine's position while maintaining its own geopolitical advantage. The West, meanwhile, sees Ukraine as an opportunity to expand its influence and limit Russia's ability to exert its own influence in the region. That is it for today. I hope you liked this video. For more updates on this topic, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Remember, capitalism is about creating value, not money. See you.